What if I told you that some of heavy metal's most powerful voices and wildest performers are no longer with us, and you might not even know it? They once ruled the stage with roaring riffs and unforgettable energy, yet their endings came quietly, away from the chaos of the spotlight. Some left us in sudden tragedies, others after struggles they kept hidden from the world. Their music lives on, but their deaths remain stories many fans have never heard. Here are 15 heavy metal stars you didn't know had passed away. 15. Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just a singer, he was the face of heavy metal. As the frontman of Black Sabbath, he helped invent the very sound that reshaped rock forever. From the doom-laden riffs of Paranoid to his solo career with classics like Crazy Train, his voice became a symbol of rebellion. Known as the Prince of Darkness, his career was as wild as his life, filled with controversies, excess, and unforgettable performances. Yet behind the madness, he lived for music. Decades of health struggles, from Parkinson's disease to heart problems, finally caught up to him. On July 22, 2025, Ozzy passed away, leaving fans worldwide in mourning. For millions, it felt like the final chapter of heavy metal's founding story, a moment when the world lost one of its greatest icons. 14. Brent Hinds. Brent Hinds was a guitarist like no other. With Mastodon, he brought together progressive elements, sludge heaviness, and psychedelic flair, creating music that felt bigger than life. His riffs were unorthodox, his solos unpredictable, and his stage presence raw and untamed. Brent wasn't just playing the guitar, he was bending it to his will, crafting sounds that pushed metal forward. Outside the band, he was known for his wild personality, tattoos, and fearless creativity, often surprising fans with side projects and unexpected collaborations. But tragedy struck on August 20, 2025, when Brent lost his life in a motorcycle crash. At 51, his story ended far too soon. For fans, his death felt like the sudden silencing of a restless soul whose music still had more ground to cover. 13. Russ North. Russ North carried the voice of fantasy-driven heavy metal during his time with Cloven Hoof. As part of the new wave of British heavy metal, his soaring range and theatrical delivery set the band apart. Albums like Dominator and A Sultan's Ransom captured his unique ability to blend power with drama. Russ gave fans a world of warriors, myths, and epic battles through his singing. And though Cloven Hoof never reached the global fame of some peers, their underground influence remained strong. On January 1, 2025, Russ North passed away at the age of 59. His death marked the end of a career that had given so much to devoted fans. His powerful voice may no longer echo on stage, but recordings of his work keep his spirit alive. 12. Coburn Pharr. Coburn Pharr's voice gave Never Neverland its edge, turning Annihilator's second album into one of thrash metal's most celebrated works. His sharp, commanding tone carried the aggressive riffs and fast-paced energy that made the record unforgettable. Although his time with the band was short, his contribution was pivotal, cementing Annihilator's place in metal history. After leaving the group, Coburn stepped away from the spotlight, but his work continued to inspire fans and musicians alike. On February 25, 2025, at the age of 62, Coburn Pharr passed away. News of his death brought fans back to the album that defined his legacy, reminding the world how important his role had been. His chapter in metal history may have been brief, but it remains deeply impactful. 11. Graham "Grah" Scoresby. Witchfiend stood out during the new wave of British heavy metal, and their drummer, Graham "Grah" Scoresby, gave their music its pounding heartbeat. Known for his steady power and dynamic energy, Grah was the foundation behind the band's occult-inspired sound. Witchfiend may not have reached mainstream heights, but their influence in shaping the darker side of metal was undeniable. Grah's drumming carried an edge that perfectly matched the band's atmosphere. On February 26, 2025, tragedy struck when Grah was killed in a car accident at the age of 68. His sudden passing shocked those who remembered the early days of the scene. Though gone, his role in crafting Witchfind's haunting sound remains etched into the history of underground heavy metal. 10. Sindre Nedland. Sindre Nedland was a musician who balanced beauty and heaviness in his art. As the vocalist and keyboardist of In Vain and a former member of Funeral, he brought an emotional depth that blended progressive elements with doom metal's atmosphere. His haunting melodies and layered compositions stood out in a scene filled with aggression, making his work timeless. Fans admired his ability to craft songs that were both heavy and melancholic, reflecting life's darkest corners. At just 40 years old, his life was cut short by cancer on March 2, 2025. His death was devastating for those who saw him as a rising creative force with so much left to give. His recordings remain as a testament to his talent and passion for music. 9. Sergio Cisneros, Quisquilla Anguita. Sergio Quisquilla Cisneros was the magic behind Mago de Oz's unique sound. With his keyboard and accordion playing, he helped create the folk-inspired melodies that made the band stand apart in the world of heavy metal. Mago de Oz became known for blending Celtic elements with powerful riffs, and Quisquilla's contributions gave their songs a mystical and joyful spirit. For fans, he wasn't just a keyboardist, he was a core part of the band's identity. On March 6, 2025, at the age of 58, he passed away due to complications from COPD. His death was a blow not only to Mago de Oz, but to the entire folk metal community. The music he left behind continues to inspire, filled with the life and energy he brought to the stage. 8. Les Binks. Les Binks was more than a drummer, he was a crucial part of Judas Priest's transformation into heavy metal giants. His playing powered albums like Stained Class and Killing Machine, helping shape the band's move toward the sound that defined their legacy. Les brought precision, speed, and creativity to the drum kit, laying the groundwork for countless metal drummers who followed. Even after his time with Judas Priest ended, his reputation as one of the genre's great percussionists remained intact. In March 2025, at the age of 73, Les Binks passed away. His death was felt deeply by fans who understood his role in forging metal's identity. Though often understated in the spotlight, his contribution remains forever tied to the rise of one of the greatest bands in history. 7. Fredrik Eugene Lindgren. Freddie Eugene Lindgren was one of Sweden's underground giants. As a guitarist for Unleashed, he was at the forefront of early Swedish death metal, helping create riffs that carried brutal heaviness but also a sense of purpose. His raw sound and uncompromising style became a blueprint for countless bands that followed in the 90s and beyond. Later, he surprised fans with Terra Firma, moving into doom metal and showing his ability to shift seamlessly between genres. This versatility made him more than just a death metal pioneer, he was a true craftsman of heavy music. Lindgren had a reputation for dedication, someone who poured everything into his playing, no matter the project. On January 5, 2025, at the age of 53, he passed away. His death left the Swedish metal community grieving, as one of their most respected musicians had left far too soon. 6. Daniel Williams. Daniel Williams gave metalcore a pulse with his drumming in The Devil Wears Prada. Known for his speed, accuracy, and relentless power, Daniel was the heartbeat of the band's sound. His drums gave weight to breakdowns, carried choruses, and added explosive energy to their live shows. Fans recognized his style immediately controlled chaos that made every performance unforgettable. Beyond the stage, Daniel was respected as a musician who never stopped refining his craft, helping the band grow from a rising act into a recognized force in modern metalcore. On May 19, 2025, tragedy struck when he was killed in a plane crash in San Diego. At only 39 years old, his passing shocked both fans and fellow artists. Daniel's death cut short a career still filled with potential, and the silence he left behind was deafening for those who had grown up with his music. 5. Ricky Siahaan. Ricky Siahaan carried the torch for heavy metal in Indonesia, playing guitar for Seringai, one of the country's most powerful and influential bands. His riffs were gritty and energetic, combining raw heaviness with a uniquely local flavor that connected deeply with fans. Ricky wasn't just a musician, he became a symbol of the growth of heavy music in Southeast Asia, inspiring countless young guitarists to pick up the instrument. His presence helped push Serenggai into the spotlight, where they stood as ambassadors for Indonesian metal on the global stage. On April 19, 2025, Ricky passed away from a sudden heart attack at the age of 48. His death was a devastating blow to both his bandmates and fans across the region. While his life ended abruptly, the mark he left on his country's music scene ensures that his influence will be remembered long into the future. 4. Brian Montana. Brian Montana's place in heavy metal history comes from his time with Possessed, widely recognized as one of the very first death metal bands. His guitar playing on the band's early material helped shape an entirely new genre, blending aggression and speed into something groundbreaking. Possessed went on to influence generations, but those who knew their beginnings remembered Montana as part of the foundation. His contribution to extreme music was undeniable, even though his career later moved away from the spotlight. On April 29, 2025, Montana's life ended in tragedy when he was shot and killed during a police incident at the age of 60. His violent passing shocked those who had followed his career from the start. While his later years were quiet, his role in helping spark one of metal's most enduring and extreme subgenres will never be forgotten. 3. Igor Molchanov. Igor Molchanov was one of the most respected drummers in Russian heavy metal. With Aria and later Master, he brought technical skill and power to the stage, anchoring two of the most influential bands in the region. His drumming carried precision and intensity, making him a driving force behind the sound that introduced heavy metal to audiences across Russia and Eastern Europe. Fans admired his consistency and his ability to give every performance the same fire as the last. For many, Igor was more than just a musician. He was a pioneer in a scene that often struggled to gain recognition outside its borders. In early May 2025, Igor passed away at the age of 63. His death marked the end of a career that had lasted decades, leaving behind a legacy that secured him a permanent place in Russian music history. 2. Lars Linden. Lars Linden gave Carnal Forge their crushing backbone. His bass work provided depth to the band's furious thrash metal, giving their sound both weight and relentless drive. Fans of the band knew Lars not only for his skill on stage, but also for his unwavering passion, someone who lived for the music and the energy of performance. He was respected in Sweden's metal scene as a dedicated figure, one who stood for authenticity. In May 2025, Lars passed away after battling colon cancer. At only 54 years old, his death felt cruelly premature. His illness had remained largely private, so news of his passing came as a shock to many. Though gone, Lars left behind years of recordings and performances that remind fans of the strength he gave Carnal Forge, cementing his role in the continuation of Swedish thrash metal. 1. Adam Ramey. Adam Ramey was one of the new generation's rawest and most heartfelt voices. As the vocalist of Dropout Kings, he mixed rap, nu metal, and emotional intensity into songs that spoke directly to fans who felt unheard. His energy on stage was explosive, but his lyrics revealed a deep struggle with mental health and inner battles. Fans connected with his openness, finding comfort in the honesty he poured into every performance. Adam's music felt urgent, a reflection of the pressures and chaos of modern life. In May 2025, at just 31 years old, he died by suicide. The news was devastating to his fans, many of whom saw him as a guiding light through their own pain. His passing cut short a career that was only beginning to blossom, but his voice continues through the music he left behind, echoing the truths he never hid. And there you have it, 15 heavy metal stars whose lives ended far too soon, their stories fading quietly while their music still roars on. Each of them left behind riffs, lyrics, and memories that continue to echo through generations of fans. But how many more hidden tragedies lie buried in the world of rock and metal, waiting to be uncovered? If you want to keep discovering the untold stories behind the music you love, don't just stop here. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and join us as we dig even deeper into the secrets of heavy metal history.